I'm sure you're wondering how I unlocked this one. Well, this hunt goes 2 layers deep. But if you want to discover all of Animal Well's secrets, you need to explore all of 5 layers. Well, sit down and let me explain how you do this. The game starts by showing you 4 flames. What are these flames for? Well, for now we don't know, because you're just dropped in this game without any objective and any story. The game technically doesn't even have any music, for the most part. You play as this little blob thing. I will just call him Kirby Jr. This game has been classified as a Metroidvania. I wouldn't really call it that because it feels more like a puzzle platformer. I can't really say that it doesn't borrow some elements from the retro Metroid games or the Metroidvania ones, since the level design is clearly inspired by that. I'm sure you know what I mean. Those old school games that had to come on cartridges and didn't have 1 terabyte of space to work with. The game also doesn't have any combat. For the most part, you are just avoiding enemies or using the tools that you find in this game to outsmart your enemies, or just get away from them. The squirrel is your friend. Make sure to follow him wherever he leads you. He will either lead you to tools or just to general direction where you need to go. After a bit of exploring, you'll find the map. For that, you'll get your first trophy. Kirby Jr. is quite small and he won't be able to do a whole lot on his own. You know what else is small? This channel. So if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing. Some of the puzzles can be solved by unintended ways. I'm sure I've solved a few of them like that. And yeah, most of them are brain teasers. I did need to think about them a bit to figure out what to do. As you keep exploring, eventually you will find your first egg. And there are overall 64 eggs to find. For layer 1, we just need to beat the game. For that, we need to figure out what our actual objective is. This was absolutely unintended. I fired off the disc and I jumped on it. You're supposed to use this trick to reach some areas. But as you see, there's also a trophy for it if you perform this trick correctly. After you collect your 8 eggs, you should definitely revisit the egg room. You can obtain your flute there, which unlocks fast travel. Eventually I stumbled upon this boss fight. It's a seahorse. It is firing you with water and you're supposed to redirect this water to fill up these vases. At least they look like vases to me. If you do everything correctly, you will unlock this door and you find your first flame. That's 1 out of 4, obviously. And with that we figured out what our objective is. I eventually found my way into the ostrich area. On my way there, I was able to obtain another trophy. Beating the ostrich is an easy feat. Once you free him, you just need to run away. Eventually that leads you into this room, where you can obtain another flame. Some of the tools, like the yo-yo, have some hidden abilities. The yo-yo can attract the chinchillas, so you can hop on top of the chinchilla and ride it. Not sure why there's a trophy for this, but hey, I'm not going to complain. The game is very effective with creating a creepy atmosphere. With the absence of music, this boss fight was quite intimidating, and it can one-shot you too. So, make sure to avoid the hedgehogs and his projectiles, and make him eat up those hedgehogs. It's not too difficult once you figure it out, but yeah, the fact that he can one-shot you is a bit annoying. Oh yeah, obviously once you beat him, you can enter this room to get your flame, which gives you another trophy. I was trying to get this treasure in this puzzle room, but I have been brutally crushed by this chinchilla. The last flame I'm missing is the one you obtain from the ghost. I'm sure at this point it is obvious that you don't need to obtain the flames in this order. You will obtain the right tools you need how to beat them once you enter their area. For this cat, dog, wolf, ghost thing, you need to lure him over to this area of the map, which is easier said than done. If you have the flute at this point, which you should be able to teleport to the egg room and use that to your advantage. But if you don't, you can also do it the same way I did, just run to the fast travel point and fast travel to make this trip shorter. Yeah. With that said, we have everything set up to finish layer 1. There's another trophy that you can get for popping 1000 bubbles. This might sound a bit time consuming, but it really isn't. I personally tried to collect as much eggs as I could before facing the final boss. And as you see, with a bit more exploring, I was even able to find these hidden chests, which awarded me with another trophy. With that said, you do need to beat the game to get all of the tools. This area is definitely the most creepy out of the whole well. It is very dark and there are unique enemies to this area too. After you manage to outrun the final boss, you'll be rewarded with some fireworks and, of course, a trophy. And with that, layer 1 is done, and the first thing you see is this dark ring that you would assume leads you to a bonus stage from Sonic the Hedgehog. Well, actually, this represents the whole well. The well circles around from left to right and from up to down, if that makes sense. So with that, layer 2 starts. Our objective is clear, is to collect all the eggs to escape this well. After I collected all the candles, I just needed to find their places and place them down. They lit up and I obtained this trophy. There are definitely easier ways to obtain a rabbit. You don't have to go through this spiky area with your upgraded bubble tool. The easiest one to get is to jump up when Kirby Jr. is dreaming. In his dream there is a bunny that you can obtain. Overall, there are 16 bunnies that you can get. The Easter egg hunt continues. I was trying my best to solve this puzzle, but I got stuck inside this area. This definitely is not supposed to happen, but there is something I can do to continue playing. With the flute, you can fast travel. After you use the flute to fast travel the first time, you obtain a trophy. The song is hidden in the egg room, but I just looked it up online. Oh wow, it took a while to get here, but yes, this is the final egg I need to obtain. With this, layer 2 is pretty much done, but there is one more thing we need to do. Remember, we still need to escape the well. We return to the egg room to uncover its final secret. And look at that! There is one more egg. Egg number 65. There is a room that you discover during your journey where you can use this. So, what will happen? We'll find out soon, no worries. You encounter this monster one last time. Well, is he really a monster? You need to lure him around to open up the last areas of the well. Once you do so, you see a familiar statue. These statues you have encountered during your travels before. You know, if you play a song, you'll unlock a warp point. What is your warp point? Well, the monster itself. You use it to escape the animal well, and unlock your trophy. With that, layer 2 of this rabbit hole is finally done. Would you believe me if I told you that this game has been made by one person? It's one thing to design puzzles, it's another thing to design fun ones. And Animal Well is definitely full of fun puzzles. Well, for the ones that I at least could figure out. With that said, there is only one more trophy I need to unlock. And for that, I do need to start a new game. After progressing the game far enough, I ended up once again in the chameleon's domain. You can sneak up easily on the squirrel by tilting the analog stick slightly. The squirrel gets a scary surprise, and I got my final trophy. And hey, would you look at that? The platinum journey is over. But what if I told you there is more? So, what do you do after you master the game mechanics? You go on a bunny hunt. I guess it's fitting that after we gather all the eggs, we hunt the bunnies. To get some of the bunnies, you have to pull off some ridiculous things. One of the puzzles you can't even solve of your own. It's a community puzzle, where you get one piece. To find the other pieces, you have to work together with the rest of the community, because there are a certain number of unique pieces that each player gets, if that makes sense. There's one where you have to pull off some ridiculous platforming with your upgraded bubble tool. One of the craziest ones, in my opinion, is the origami bunny puzzle. For this one, you get instructions to print out an origami. Once you assemble it, you get a bunny. And there is code on this bunny. I have no idea how this works and how you're supposed to figure this one out. But yeah, it somehow leads to a bunny. It's crazy. At this point, you would believe that this game is some kind of recruitment tool for the CIA. And I wouldn't be surprised. So what happens when you get all the bunnies? If you observe them, the bunnies all point their ears into different directions. And you're supposed to figure out what order these bunnies are, somehow. No idea. You hop into this manticore and you're able to find a floating island in this final area, what you assumed that it is repeating. Yes, if you follow these instructions, you are led to a flying island with a giant bunny, of course. So what does the giant bunny do? The giant bunny gives you the only power-up of the game, which turns you into a moth, giving you the ability to fly and explore the whole map as you please. With that, layer 3 is done. I'm sure at this point you're wondering what would be more ridiculous than the bunny puzzle. How about a puzzle that even the developer thought wouldn't be solved? And this involves playing the game in unintended ways. To sum it up, what do I mean by that? Well, one of them is to get the game's real ending under an hour. The other one is to sneak up on the squirrel 3 times, which is really difficult to do, playing the song that frees all the cats before you actually free them, filling up the screen with bubbles so the hummingbird gets annoyed and gives you one of the codes. Once you gather up all of these codes, you can put together a map. I have zero idea how you are supposed to figure this out, but the Animal Well community worked closely together and was able to crack this code. Where does this map lead? Well, it might as well lead you to the One Piece at this point. I'm not going to tell. I think some of the secrets are better kept hidden. That's layer 4. What about layer 5? What else does the game hide? What if I told you that there is more? Or is there? At this point, I don't think anyone knows. There is a ring in the game. It's called the cheater ring. And you can't even obtain it in a legit way. For now, nobody has figured out how it is actually supposed to be obtained. There are ways that you can glitch the game and obtain this ring. So what does the ring do? Well, it gives you no clip. Yes, you can go through walls and discover even more that's hidden in the game. What happens when you go down this rabbit hole? You find more animals that are out of bounds. You find more switches that are out of bounds. And what happens once you press all these switches? It corrupts your save file. Yes, that actually happens. It corrupts your save file. Some of the eggs get scattered all around and you can obtain them once again. As far as I know, nobody really knows what you're supposed to do with the cheater's ring, or if there is anything to do with the cheater's ring. But hey, maybe you can figure it out. But maybe there isn't a solution. So maybe we can solve this final layer if we join in this rabbit hole together that is called Animal Well.